It's time for part 2 of Harry Potter and You. So I was just going to start saying thank you to everyone who joined on Discord, which newly launched. I was quite surprised how many people actually turned up, and also how many people actually voted. I opened it up for like 2 weeks and I thought, oh, I'll push it a lot on social. But I just did it once, and I had 38 responses within 2 weeks, and most of which came in the first week. So I didn't actually feel the need to push it out. So this is attempt number 364 of recording in 4K high definition. Right, anyway, so we're going to have a look at the results. So we have our mysterious visitor comes to the door, which of course, as you probably guessed, is Professor McGonagall. Now, you vote weird. So your options when you open the door were to say hi, or call for your parents, say hello, can I help you? And you are is another option as well. Now, I was getting slightly worried when we first did this because a lot of people were doing, and you are, and I was like, oh my god, who would actually say that to McGonagall? She turned up at the door. But anyway, luckily, sensibleness prevailed, and hello, can I help you became the actual answer. So that had 19 votes, followed by hi, followed by and you are, and then followed by call for your parents. The other was where I kind of labelled hello, can I help you? So that's come as other, but it basically is a hello, can I help you? So that's what won. So now we can continue our story, and you'll see kind of how that pops up in this version, part 2 of how your response, what McGonagall thinks of you. So what we're going to do, we're going to read part 2, and I'm also going to go through the options that you had from part 1 at the end and explain how they would have influenced the story and also influence things going ahead as well. I think this one we're probably going to run the survey for about a week, I think, because it worked quite well last time, a lot quicker than I expected. So hopefully 1 week, and we'll get around to writing the next one. So we will continue our story. And I put the laptop so far away, it's unbelievable. So you open a door to find a strangely dressed lady towering above you. She has a rather serious look on her face. You stare at her, slightly shocked. She is rather severe looking, wearing square glasses and an emerald green cloak. Her black hair is drawn into a tight bun. You quickly compose yourself and say, hello, can I help you? She raises one eyebrow, and you have a suspicion that she is assessing you. She says, I am Professor McGonagall. Are your parents at home? Yes, you reply. Are you from my new school? In a way, yes, although not the school you're thinking of. Your parents hear what's going on at the door and join you. Before they have time to say anything, Professor McGonagall addresses them. Good evening. I am Professor McGonagall, and I come to offer your child a place at our school. May I come in? Your parents look at each other, a little confused, but invite the professor inside. In the lounge, you and your parents sit on the sofa, while the professor sits straight backed on an armchair. Your father starts the conversation. We thought our child was already set to attend a school here. Their friends are all attending too. Professor McGonagall says, yes, well, I have come here to offer them a place at a specialist school called Hogwarts. We have never heard of this school. Is it private? Says your mother, with a confused look on her face. Professor McGonagall smiles politely, knowing she needs to use tact to reveal the upcoming bombshell. Our school is very selective. No one applies to attend Hogwarts. Hogwarts only offers places to students who show a certain talent. You can't help but chime in, but I don't have any talents. My grades are okay, but there are smarter kids than me at school. The professor raises an eyebrow at you and smiles. You are a brave one. Children are usually stunned into silence at the door when I arrive. The talent I speak of cannot be appreciated by conventional schools. Have strange things ever happened around you? You have a think, and now she mentions it, a few weird things have happened. Well, there was one time I fell out a tree and just seemed to float to the ground. I thought it was just me. Anything else? The professor replies. You have a think. Then your dad says, there was that time you sneezed and blew the cat across the room. Professor McGonagall smiles slightly and says, that, my dear, is uncontrolled magic. There is stunned silence in the room, but the more you and your parents think about it, the more it seems to make sense. Your mum breaks the silence first. So, when they were a baby and set the nappy on fire when they passed wind, that was magic? McGonagall nods. Then your dad says, and the time they were pretending to drive the car and the engine started while I still had the keys. McGonagall nods again. Professor McGonagall reaches into her pocket, pulls out an envelope and hands it to you. You read the front and it is addressed to you in the front room of your house. It is sealed with a wax crest. You open the envelope and it reads, "We are pleased to inform you that you have a place at Hogwarts School of Witchcraft and Wizardry. Please find enclosed a list of all necessary books and equipment. Term begins on the 1st of September. Yours sincerely, Minerva McGonagall, Deputy Headmistress." I understand this is much to take in, Professor McGonagall starts. I'll meet you at the address in London next week to help you buy your things. You look at the list while Professor McGonagall talks to your parents about practical things. There are so many weird things that you know only from fiction books. Robes, cauldrons, and even a plain pointed hat, which just sounds awful. As the professor leaves, you start to plan your trip to London to go shopping. Do you leave early or leave on time? Perhaps you should have lunch in London first. So, in this one, you have 2 questions to answer. The first question is, how do you leave? Do you leave on time or do you leave early? The second question you have choices on is, do you eat in London and have lunch or do you not eat in London? Also forgot, question number 3, there's actually 3 questions this one, is whether you take your parents or not. So, do you go by yourself, a bit like Don Riddle, or do you go around with your parents, a bit like Hermione? This may sound a very strange question to ask, but they do have consequences. Now we go back to our first episode and talk about the consequences of your answers. So simply saying hi to Professor McGonagall. She makes no judgment. She thinks you seem friendly, smiles, and engages with you. Call for your parents. Professor McGonagall thinks you are sensible and cautious. She then engages with them rather than you. Also, you're not bold in your questions. Hello, can I help you? Professor McGonagall thinks you are brave and bold, engages with you, and is surprised how well you engage with her. And you are... Professor McGonagall thinks you are arrogant and unwelcoming. She is cold in her response, engages with you coldly. Later dialogue emphasises personal development at Hogwarts during the conversation in the lounge. So yes, and you would have had some interesting consequences in the storyline, but you can't now understand how it works. Hopefully. So, with the voting for the next one is open for 1 week. So, good luck. Also, if you want to catch up on the previous dialogue and everything and the results and all that sort of stuff, it's on Discord. Link is in the comments below. Hopefully, this video is now in focus and the sound is working properly, unlike my last video. So, until next time, have a good one.